Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a YouTube channel that I have been following for the past 10 months as of now, but a few months ago I realized that was mostly made for money, and it's really not a good channel. It's called gametoons. Now, I looked at gametoons at first and I thought it was pretty cool because the characters, while cliche, were fairly interesting. They weren't really funny ever, especially not now. But back when they had something called Among Us logic, it was not that bad. It basically just had clips from Among Us characters, and it was sort of a way to kill time, I guess. It wasn't really, and looking back, it was fairly okay. Like, it had the animation was pretty good for the fact that it was a small studio that made it. It wasn't a big one, and the voice acting was certainly not that bad for a small studio with like 20 workers or whatever. I don't know the exact amount of workers, but it's not a big studio. However, it's mostly full of people who really want money. How basically, Among Us logic was not that bad. It started getting a little bit worse after some different episodes. Some of them didn't really work that. Some of them just stopped getting really good, and some of them got worse and worse and worse. However, it wasn't really the worst until Friday Night Funkin' Logic or whatever. Now, after this, things started changing by a lot. The first thing that changed was that they started they removed just about every single character from Among Us logic. Their characters weren't really that good. The only character that I even found that interesting was Captain. Then after they started, however, things started changing a lot more. Now, these characters were sort of still there, and except they moved, except sort of in different things. Like, for example, they had something where he changed. Sorry. For example, they had a video where a player now in FNF form just sort of like rap battled against them. I really think it's just cringy how they just are like, oh yeah, let's do a rap battle whenever we're in any situation. I know that it's supposed to be the joke or something. I hope it's supposed to be a joke, otherwise I really don't know what's wrong with them. I'm gonna guess it's a joke. But it's really not funny. The characters were sort of there as they started trying to do things, but eventually as they started trying to do other things, like Roblox logic, which obviously would never work because Roblox has so many different games in it. You can't just have a Roblox logic if it's except for with one game. And it would really seem ridiculous to put a game that's a part of a different game in your professional channel. They went on and with Friday Night Funkin' Logic, and for the most part, they didn't really have more of Among Us, and the characters just sort of got out. After this, they started changing the personality of their character Player. Originally, they didn't really talk about who Player was. So we all just assumed that he was some kid on his phone or whatever playing Among Us. And then they started changing him by a lot. First of all, in the original Among Us logic, a lot of things would have led us to predict that Player already knew the original characters, as he can talk to them. But a lot of other things leave us to predict that he couldn't, as he didn't have to introduce himself to everyone. But on the original, he really did seem like just some kid trying to win a video game. Also, but then they started changing his personality a lot. They also started changing the personality of everybody else around him, like this AI girlfriend. Girlfriend is literally an AI, but they act as if she's a real girlfriend. And then they had some wedding, despite the fact, and I'm not sure if we're just supposed to ignore the fact that this is all a video game. Now this leaves me to wonder, who is Player? because this person, supposedly player, doesn't make too much of any sense. I mean, first of all, he made this thing where he talked about high school, and he had said he had this horrible dream where he went back into high school. So apparently he's outside of high school now. To be honest, I just don't get that, though. So apparently now he's supposed to be an adult. I really found it. First of all, I'm not sure why he was playing Among Us so much. Like, obviously, anybody can play Among Us. Any adults can. But if you're outside of high school, then I'm not sure why you're going to be playing it so often. Like, I really would think that he'd have something else to do. Because he clearly seems to have a lot of spare time. Also, he really did seem like a kid with the way he talked and the way he had his, the way he talked and the way he behaved. But he stopped behaving the same, and I mean, originally he just seems like a child at the maturity level of a child. But now there's something about him that just makes him seem like an adult with the maturity level of a child, who for some reason is completely fine with dating an AI. Also, there was something that really annoyed me with Friday Night Funkin' Logic. They basically had this thing where they met characters from Happy Tree Friends. Don't look up that show if you're easily triggered by gore or blood. And so basically they had this character player meet the characters from Happy Tree Friends. They got so many things wrong. I know that this was just a cash grab at this point. I know that Friday Night Funkin' Logic was just a cash grab, but they just did it so lazily. First of all, nobody in Happy Tree Friends got voices. Nobody could talk. Also, their voices are very dumb. And second of all, I'm not sure what they actually think of Flippy's PTSD. Like, apparently now he's triggered by certain words. Like, they didn't have words in the original show, so we can't know that. But I really think it would have been better if they actually had something to trigger this, rather than just simply the word Vietnam. Because really, because what might trigger him, I really doubt it. I really think that would have been better if they just pulled out something sharp or whatever. Also, they also have a ton of other channels for cash grabs, obviously, like gametoons Scheming, but the most annoying, or whatever. Also, I'm not sure why, but they're still profiting off of Mr. Cheese a lot, aka Mr. Marketable, but they haven't shown Mr. Marketable in their shows and TV shows for a very long time. Like, if you're going to market this person, or whatever it is, then maybe at least show it, or give it more of a personality, or try to make it seem cooler, or something like that. Also, they have a music thing, gametoons, or it's pronounced the same way, but it's basically their music is just about garbage. I listen to a lot of it, and a lot of it, first of all, they try to make stories into music, and in some cases that can be pretty good, but not when it's legitimately stories. Like, these are the kinds of stories that could be said, and a lot of these stories aren't really good ones. These really aren't that good. As for the music, I really don't think that music is the kind of thing that they are good at. Except for their one song that was made like a year ago called Sus. Also, so then I noticed the very worst thing about this probably is, one, that it's a cash grab, and I really don't think you should be making children's cartoons if you're going to do it for nothing but cash. There are plenty of things you can do for nothing but cash, but this really isn't something you should be doing for nothing but cash, as this could have actually been something that many kids enjoyed. Now, I just thought, is this either 1, lazy writing, or 2, bad writing? And they might seem like the same things, as all lazy writing is bad. But I was just thinking, was the writing and script so bad because the writers are lazy, or because they just aren't good writers? Is it because they're not trying, or they are trying but they're not good in general? To be honest, I really think that's a mixture of both. But then when I look back into the original Among Us logics, it's really not that good, but it's not as nearly as bad as it is now. It doesn't. Like, right now, it's quite obvious that it's a cash grab. Despite the fact that they made a reference to something that children should not be watching, it shows a lot of signs of being for children. But, to be honest, I think the writing is definitely very lazy, but it's also a mixture of bad. The writers are not... the writers aren't naturally the kinds of people that I would ever expect to be writers. However, it could be possible for them to be if they actually put in work. It's not like they absolutely didn't care like some children's TV shows, but they didn't care enough. But I really feel like they wanted it to look like they cared, even though they clearly didn't. Also, it's very obvious that they're doing everything they can to try and get money. They're doing sponsorships. They're doing sponsorships. All their videos monetized, and obviously that's okay. But they also have a ton of merch. I really just like, if you're going to have some merch, then that's fine. That's you. You do you. But I just don't understand why you should make so much merch. Like things like plushies, when they're probably most reviewers, like, I'm not sure what their viewers are supposed to be, since they did make a reference to something that children shouldn't know about, and since they have that word in there, children can easily go look up what that word means and figure out the meaning. So yeah, I'm not gonna say the word, because I know my audience is partially children that could go and look up what this means. But if you're older than 11, you know what I'm talking about. Also, it's not. It just. But if you want your viewers to understand what the meaning of that word was, then I'm not sure why you would make plushies. Also, I'm not sure why they're still making plushies and hoodies. Like, I really just for these kinds of things. Also, if you're going to make hoodies and plushies, I don't understand why you try to make it so much cringe. Like, maybe something that says gametoons on it, but they have the most cringy things that could. And, like, I got bullied at school for wearing merch from YouTube. I also got bullied at school for my hair color, so that doesn't even matter at that point. But like, I know that children should be able to wear whatever they want without getting bullied for it. But I really just don't understand why you should make something of it so much cringe, especially because children will look back on it when they're older and think, oh my god, I was so much cringe. Why was I so much cringe? I'm sorry, maybe they won't. I don't know. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.